So I'm really excited because I want us to dive deeper into the birth chart beyond the typical three signs that are very important. I have a love affair with the sun sign, the rising sign, and then the moon sign. I also want this year, I really want to start diving into the other components of the chart because I want us to realize how much secret information is waiting for you to embrace, to come, to pay your attention to. That way you could totally transform your life. On that note, today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics ever. It is the nodes, the north nodes and the south nodes. Well, today's episode is mostly going to be focused on the south node, and then later on, I will do the counterpart, the north node. But today, let's get started. So, the South Node is juicy. I know people are like, oh my God, Stephanie, you're always saying the word juicy. I don't know. It's just juicy. I don't know what other word to say. It's just there's so many juicy information like in the South Node, right? I absolutely love the notes. But I want us to talk about how the South Node can be a comfort zone, but at the same time, it can be a trap that is holding you back from living your full potential. The simple way I can describe that, the South Node can be seen as the past, and the North Node can be seen as the future. But today, like I said, we are gonna be focusing only on the South Node because I don't want to make this too long. Okay, it's always a challenge for me when I'm talking about astrology. I want to ground it. Too many people think it's woo woo already, so I want to ground it in reality. The whole idea behind what I do and all of these content I'm creating is because I want to take all these things and ground them into reality. I think we have enough channels, enough people talking about, using fancy stuff and woo woo and talking about the 90 this and 90 that. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own, everyone has their is going to be attracted to whatever is pulling them. But I feel like there's not enough groundedness. There's not enough people making this thing simple. Like it doesn't have to be woo woo. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be so like, oh, out there and mystical. So that's why I wanted to talk about. I like using those mystical things and transform them into real practical stuff. So we are talking about the South Node. It is pretty much the point in your chart that represents your past life, habits, and comfort. Like I feel like everyone is slowly, not everyone, I wish it was everyone, but like most people are slowly getting comfortable with this whole idea of past life, this whole idea of reincarnation. Even if we don't use the word reincarnation, but technically the idea that you are a soul having a human experience on this planet and your soul is eternal. The thing is, we're so busy living in this simulation, chasing things like work, handling a million responsibility, juggling a million responsibilities at the same time, and then working and then paying bills. We're so caught up into the physical condition and living in our planet and our society that most people don't get the chance to think about their spiritual side or their soul. It's all about practicality. And again, yes, I know I said that we're bringing this spirituality into practicality on this platform, but it's very important for us to think about our soul because that's the point of everything. So our soul came here to do some work, the same way we're doing, the same way we're doing, growth work. The same way you have a therapist, and then you have, you are journaling, and you sitting down with yourself, and then you just asking yourself, where would you like to grow this year? Where your soul is exactly on the same journey. It's everything is a reflection, so your soul is doing the same thing. Your soul came here to do the same thing, and which is why I think it's so beautiful how our astrological chart, the birth chart, is pretty much talking to you. It's a map of you, of your soul. It's your own personal user's manual. right? It's your blueprint. You know, when you're building a house, when an architect is building a house, an engineer is building, an architect is designing a house, an engineer is building the house. They all have their blueprints. It's pretty much the map they're supposed to follow for them for the house, right? It's the same thing. Our astrological chart, our birth chart is the map of your soul. And your soul came here on the mission, and it brought literally giving you like cues. You're not there clueless. So when we look deep into the chart, we can see north node and the south node. I'm not going to go deeper into like, technicalities of them. I want to keep this today's episode very simple, but in some, like I said, the south node is pretty much representing your past life, which is so cool because you can actually understand, you can get an insight about like, oh, what sign you were in a past life based on where your south node is located. And another thing is, so that's why, because like there is a continuity, even if we just drop into the planet with parents that you like, who are these people, and then who are this, and then you in the body, and then you have a name. But the reality is that there is a continuity. So your soul is eternal, and your soul already had a life before the body that you are in right now. So that's why you can see the continuity in the chart. So that's also why often you have some habits. If you ever have a newborn in your family, for example, I have a lot of new nephews and nieces coming in coming in fresh from the oven into our planet lately. I went home to visit family recently over the holidays, and one of my niece is like, was what at the time she was like barely 4 weeks old. And it's crazy. It's like fascinating looking at her and seeing things that she's doing already. And then another niece of mine is a year and a half, doesn't even know how to fully talk yet. But I was observing her. I promise I'm not not trying to be that creepy auntie, but it's crazy how she doesn't know how to talk yet, but she already has things that she likes, things she doesn't like, habits that she likes, when she's throwing tantrum, things that annoys her. And when you're looking at her other brother from the same age, they they're totally different. It's like these human beings came into the planet already with a software installed into them. So all of these things are kind of like results from like past lives, right? And this is what it's interesting that we can see in the map. You can see, we get information about your past about the south node, which is pretty much your past life, your past, it explains past habits, things that are comfortable for you. And that's why today I wanted to talk about that, because it's very easy to fall into past life, south node traps, because again, it's like they're programmed in us the same way as my little niece. She likes this food, but she doesn't like that food. Like, what does she know about food? She's only like a year and something. Why does she, or she doesn't like it when you turn off the light, you know it's or she doesn't like to it's just so many patterns that is already pre-installed in them, right? I find it absolutely fascinating. So your north node, like I said, shows you your soul's purpose, and your south node pretty much shows you the past, where you kind of like the baggage that you coming into the life with. And this is why it's very important to talk about that, because the south node is pretty much the goal. Why I'm bringing this up is to raise awareness, because consciousness is everything, like I say a million times all the time, and like all of my mentors are always saying, when we need to be careful that we're not staying in our south node, in those habits and those patterns, because this is our comfort zone, and it's easy to stay there because, again, like I said, it's familiar. Sometimes we don't even know why we do the things that we do, but there is a continuity, right? Your soul came in with these patterns already, and it's very important for us to shake things up, because often that's where we will feel stuck. I use this because people will be like, all right, Steph, that's cool. What's the point of me knowing all this? Well, there's actually a method to the madness. We're not just here learning a bunch of things just for, just to complicate life. It's actually, I pay special attention to the south node and the north node when I have, let's say I'm doing, I do a lot of birth charts. I do birth charts reading, right? Where let's say I have a client who comes in and is feeling stuck in their lives. This is an area that I'm going to pay extra attention to. I'm going to pay attention to the south node, ask them, why are they feeling stuck? what are some patterns, what are some insights that they're getting through their body and then through like observations. And then I will dive deep in their chart, paying attention to these elements, because again, we're having, it's a conversation, it's a two-way communication. You're not here alone and totally left in the dark. You were sent here, or you came here with guides. And this could be like your whole angel team that we also can dive deep into, like Akashic records reading and stuff, but also through like your own map that you came with. And this is why we want to make sure we know these things, we pay attention to these things, because we have a tendency as humans to repeat old patterns, right? Like I said, the South Node is comfortable. It's where you comfortable there. It's in us humans, we are creatures of habits, of of habits. And also there is a lot of unseen growth opportunities awaiting for you once we start diving into these things. So, how can you recognize your South Node's trap? The way you can recognize it is pattern recognition. Pay attention to what you're doing, right? Things that you tend to do in life. The thing with growth is a lot of it has to do with observation. You put in your observation glasses on and you're observing yourself. It's almost like you're getting out of your body and you're observing yourself with detachment, no judgment. That's not the point, but with compassion and patience and lots of consciousness, right? So, for example, if your South Node is in Leo, right, it might be very easy for you to rely a lot on validation because there is baggage there. Like in the past life you were a Leo, and then you might have depending on how much work you did, it might be very easy for you to just um adopt these patterns from a the Leo energy. So if that is something, again, there's no good or bad sign. Everything is just supposed to be like neutral. Like, and then the point of us knowing that is for us to elevate above them, like I say a million times. But if you find yourself, stuck there, and then like with the example of the Leo, again, that might be a reason why you find yourself relying on validation so much, attention, and that can really block, you know, the growth that you meant to do, and then you moving forward. So this is how we can use that information, seeing like where is the South Node located and what type of blockage that you feel like you're having in life, and that way we can kind of move past them. And yeah, also a lot of time that feeling stuck in just feel like a lot of deja vu. It's like a loop that you can't break. I know I talk about feeling stuck a lot on the platform here, and a lot of time the South Node will give you insights on that. It's the deja vu, it's a loop, but you just can't seem to break out of it, right? But of course you can always break out of it with consciousness, and then just us using the right tools to just help you move above that. And again, it's very important because if you, the South Node can is pretty much there, it can sabotage you in a way, right? The reason why it's important because it's giving us insights. It's pretty much giving you secret tools that you can use, but you're supposed to be aware of it and then use it to do the work. And because staying in the South, like I said, keeps you in your comfort zone, right? And that energy can definitely hold you back. So some other signs that you might be stuck there in your South Node and it might be too comfortable for you, it could be things like lack of motivation. Like you just feel like you just in a plateau. It can also be resisting new experiences. I know a lot of people that are like that, where the idea of trying new things just absolutely scares them. It doesn't even have to be, I'm not talking about jumping out of, doing some crazy bungee jumping here. It could just be, you know, I don't know, just eating something else for breakfast in the morning for once, because they're invited by a friend. It could be the most simplest thing, but then they're just stuck there. And also, like, repeated failures and missed opportunity can also be related to that. And also, we have self sabotage, like I mentioned before. Self sabotage, because again, we don't like to do new stuff. We don't like, we don't really like to get out of our comfort zone and experience change. Change can be very, very scary, but pay attention to that because that can really be the hold that your south node has on you. So we want to break free from that. We want to break free from that so we can move towards the north node. I like to think of the north node as your GPS destination, the destination that your soul put onto the GPS before coming into this life form, and we want to break free from the limitations of being stuck in our south node, because we want to break through that through awareness by embracing the North Node, understand that we each have a path, and then we are so lucky to have that insight and that language, that information available to us. The cosmos is literally talking to you all the time, and you came with this magical blueprint. So we want to embrace that because it's special information tailored specially for you. It's not a one size fit all. Yes, we're all connected, we're all together, and we're all one. At the same time, we're all like, unique particles of that same oneness. And this is why your blueprint is tailored directly to you. That's why I just always saying, I want you to use it. I want you to be aware of it. Let me give you a tangible example here. For example, let's say you are let's say your south node is in Pisces, right? Now, and then let's say that you feel stuck because you find that it's easy for you to get stuck in like escapism, like the shadow side of Pisces, um escapisms, and like you just tend to like idealize things, and you feel like these things are kind of limiting you, right? It's very hard for you to rise above them. And so, because the south node and the north node is pretty much like in the opposing end, technically it's literally your soul guiding you towards the solution. So now, if in that example your south node is in Pisces, and that's where you're feeling stuck, right, with all of those traits I just mentioned, which is can be a shadow side of Pisces. And now, when we get into your chart, we want to pay attention to your north node. Now, your north node, if your south node is in Pisces, your north node is going to be in the opposite sign. The opposite of Pisces is Virgo. Now, the way we would make all of this practical is by encouraging you to embrace a bit more of the qualities of the Virgo, right? In its elevated form, because again, every sign has elevated and non elevated form, right? So it's like at its best and at its worst. Like everything in life, there's two sides. So that person who's feeling stuck in the Pisces node, with like idealism, escapism, and all that stuff. Now we want to encourage that client to, we want to encourage that person to actually embrace more of the North Node, which is coincidentally placed in Virgo. What that means is that encouraging that person to focus more on organization, structure, service of to others, and more like grounded actions. So again, this is how the chart starts talking to you in real languages, and this is not just a woo woo out there. It's actually can be translated into tangible actions. So it's always small steps towards growth. That is the point of everything that we are doing. So if you find that this is something that you really could use some help with, again, you can always book a birth chart reading with me. It's not just a birth chart. We can also use that. It's almost like a therapy session in a way. No, I'm not a therapist. Don't twist my words. But what I'm saying is we can use astrology as a form of guidance. It's not just like, it's not entertainment at all. I don't see it as entertainment at all. I see it as guidance and tools that are targeted and that are specially tailored to you and who you are. So if that's something that you could definitely use some help with, all the links are down below in the show notes as usual. And I will see you in the next one, my love, and keep shining bright like a diamond. And see you in the next one. Bye.